We're going to take a look at Module 59 for these practice problems. And the first one, there's two check your understandings. Check your understanding number 1. And it says draw a short run diagram showing a U-shaped average total cost curve, a U-shaped AVC, and a swoosh-shaped marginal cost. And then indicate the range of prices for the following actions are optimal. The firm shuts down immediately. The firm operates in the short run despite sustaining a loss, and the firm operates while making a profit. So the first thing is we got to draw those cost curves. So quantity, price, and this is our firm graph. So we're going to start with the swoosh, marginal cost, and then we're going to come down, stop, take our pen off, come back up for AVC, and then we're going to come down, take our pen off, and say ATC. And so that's stuff again from last unit. Now we're going to indicate some prices. Now we know that if the price is greater than ATC, then the firm has a positive economic profit. Okay, so that would be any price that's above the ATC. So anything above here, right? Above here is profit. Okay, so that's the answer to C. And we know that if the price here is below the ATC, they're earning a loss. But we also know that if it's above the AVC, then they're covering all of their fixed cost and some of their variable cost. And what that means is that they're going to operate in the short run. They're going to operate in the short run, but in the long run, they're going to exit. But they're going to operate in the short run despite sustaining a loss. So loss, but operate. Now we can find that graphically on our graph, the prices that are between ATC and AVC. So this is where AVC is, right? It's these prices here where between those two, right, and you could continue that price way out here. If Mr. Darp ends up anywhere between those two dotted lines, then they will operate in the short run, right? Operate in the short run. So that's the answer to B. Operate short run at a loss, if the price is between those two. And then we know that if the price is less than the AVC and it's less than ATC, if it's a really low price, then they loss, right? We know they're a loss because it's less than ATC, and they can't even cover their fixed costs, so they shut down. So that's called the shutdown rule, if it's below that, right? Loss and shut down. So that would be A, shut down immediately. B would be short run, they operate at a loss, and between these two values, and then C, they're earning a profit. So question number 2. The state of Maine has a very active lobster industry. Holy cow. During the rest of the year, lobsters can be obtained by restaurants from producers all around the world. They harvest lobsters in Maine only in the summer. Obviously, they could get the lobsters at a higher price from around the world. Maine is also full of lobster shacks. These are restaurants serving lobster that are open only in the summer. Suppose the market demand for lobster dishes remains the same throughout the year. Explain why it's optimal for the shacks to operate only during the summer. And so the reason why, right, the reason why those shacks close up is actually because, right, the AVC of lobster shacks is high, well, we'll say higher in the winter. So price is less than AVC, so they close. And that should make sense, right? If the cost of the variable input, the average variable cost of lobster is higher in the winter because they're getting lobster from everywhere else instead of from Maine, then they'll shut down. So they close, they shut down. But in the summer, we'd say AVC is less than the price in Maine lobster shacks. so they operate, right? So they're seasonal, and that would kind of be the explanation here, is that they basically move from profitability, where the price is above ATC and AVC combined, and to the place where price is below the AVC, so they shut down. Okay? So now we're going to take a look at the multiple choice questions. Question number 1. So 1 through 3, it says refer to the graph and assume the firm produces profit maximizing quantity. So firm's total revenue is equal to, we know that that's price times quantity, and we know that the firm's price in this graph is 20, and the quantity is going to be where MR equals MC. So we look and we find that that's equal at point E, and we go down and we note that the quantity there is 50, so the correct answer is $1,000 E. Okay. Number 2. Firm's total cost is equal to, now this one is going to be the ATC times the quantity. And this is like the quantity that they're producing and the ATC at that quantity. So the quantity they're producing we know is 50. And then we look up there and we find that the ATC value intercepts at Z, and Z goes all the way over to 15. And so 15 times 50 is $750, and so that answer is D. And remember, ATC times quantity is total cost is equal to that, total revenue is equal to that. This should not be too wild and crazy, because total cost, if you were to divide it by total cost divided by the quantity, you'd just get ATC. Number 3. The firm is earning, and this one says profit or loss and then how much. So we know the firm is producing where MR equals MC. They're producing at quantity 50, and we can see that the price is greater than the ATC. Right? The price is greater than ATC, so we know that they're earning a positive profit. Right? And we can find the price is equal to 20. Price is 20, and the ATC is, what do we say, 15. So per unit, they're earning $5. And this question, though, says, what's the total profit? Well, $5 times how many units? Well, 50 units is $250. The correct answer for this one is B. Okay, so common mistake for students to write 5 here. 5 is the profit per unit. That's the vertical distance between E and Z. But the actual total amount of profit is the rectangle from E to Z to 15 to 20. So it's a rectangle there. Number 4. A firm should continue to produce in the short run as long as the price is at least equal to, well, this is just a definition of minimum AVC, D. So as long as the price is at least where the minimum of AVC is, right? You think about minimum of AVC, the minimum point here, if the price is at least that, then the firm should produce in the short run. It should shut down immediately if the price goes below that. So we're going to say D. And number 5, at prices that motivate the firm to produce at all. So in other words, prices that are above the minimum of AVC, right? So there would be no motivation to produce if the price was below. At prices that motivate the firm to produce at all. The short-run supply curve for a perfect competitor corresponds to which curve? Oh, this is thinking back from last unit a little bit. It's this line. All right, remember, that's the firm's supply curve. So the correct answer is marginal cost, and that is C. So now we're going to take a look at the second free response question. So FRQ number 2. FRQ number 2, and there are 5 parts to this. Refer to the graph provided. So there's a graph here with MC, ATC, and Mr. DARP. And it says, assuming it is appropriate for the firm to produce, what is the firm's profit maximizing level? So they're going to produce where MR equals MC. And it's telling us, hey, assume they are producing, because it doesn't give us an AVC. So we have to assume that they are. So for A, we would just say it's where MR equals MC, and that happens at point A, and that quantity is 6. Okay? That's because that's where MR equals MC. B, total revenue for the firm. So total revenue, again, just as a reminder, is price times quantity. So we know that's going to be 6, right? They're selling 6, and then the total revenue is 20. The price, sorry, is 20. So total revenue is 120. Okay? 120. Now C says total cost. All right, well, we have to find the ATC times the quantity, and we already know the quantity is 6, but the ATC at 6 is, and it's a little hard to read, 29.50. I don't know why they gave us such a bizarre number. 29.50. All right, so 6, it's basically going to be 6 times 30 minus 50 cents, so that's, so it's not 180, but it's half of 6, so 177. Now, obviously, on a test, you'd end up getting a much simpler number than that. That's ridiculous. I don't know why they do that. So that's the total cost, is 177. D, TR minus TC is equal to profit. So that's a pretty simple statement here. 120 minus 177 equals negative, $57. So they're losing money. That's not good. E, all right, we're almost done. If AVC were $22 at that level of output at 6, right? Since we're at 6, if AVC were at 22, should the firm produce? Explain why or why not. And so the price equals 20. If AVC is equal to 22, then the price is below AVC. So what should they do? Well, the price is below AVC. They should shut down because they're earning a loss. So they should shut down. And realistically, your explanation doesn't have to be really exciting. It could just be because price is less than AVC. All right, so hopefully this helps you a little bit, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.